Hello and welcome to the new school, or better yet, welcome to my den. My name is Rita Pisalet Breidenbach, and I oversee the Faculty Center for Innovation, Collaboration, and Support, which is bringing you this orientation. This is the first bit of it. If we were in person for my absolutely favorite event of this semester, there would be about 150 of you. We'd be in a big banked lecture hall. We'd have you from 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, and I would be the opening act. I'd be standing in front of you for about 45 minutes talking about equity and inclusion as fundamental to good teaching. And then we'd go off and do breakouts and lunch and come back together for more stuff. As we were thinking about this orientation, obviously, we can't have you in Zoom from 9 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. We needed to prepackage some things, rethink some things, shorten some things. So I offered to pre-record my bit of it. 45 minutes felt like a lot to be talking at you, so I made it a little shorter, and then I recorded it, and I watched it. It was okay. It was 23 minutes. But it just didn't quite work. And then it dawned on me. I did exactly what I have been advising faculty in this moment not to do. Don't try to take what you do in person and do it online. We need to rethink. We need to reimagine. So, this is me rethinking and reimagining. And I encourage you to do that with your students. Tell them what you're trying. Tell them why you made the decisions you made. Tell them why you chose a particular assignment over another assignment. This is called transparent teaching. And it's really important with this current generation of students. My generation, I'll do what the teacher tells me. This generation wants to know why. What's the value of it? How might it contribute to my future employment, especially now that we have such serious economic concerns? Also, in transparent teaching, what you can do is create multiple assignments and allow students to choose to do one of them. Or the class as a whole could choose which one you're going to do. Also, consider ceding some of your power and allow the class to determine how, for example, group work will be evaluated, or what will constitute passing quality on a particular assignment. It actually is empowering to students, and especially in this moment where students feel like so little is in their control, allowing them to have a little bit of say, a little bit of agency in some of the decisions that you're making in your class is very beneficial. In the orientation, we talk about teaching because, frankly, most faculty teaching in higher education have never been taught how. And you cannot be a good teacher without ensuring equity, diversity, and inclusion. Diverse voices, perspectives, histories, and values promote complex thinking, the kind of thinking we want our students to be developing. Look at your syllabus. Who is represented? We tend to teach as we were taught and to teach what we were taught. The white Western canon has dominated higher education, and that needs to be challenged. I had a freshman report to me last year that she was taking a course on the history of the African diaspora, and all the readings on the syllabus were by white men. It's an egregious example, but it happened. And if there aren't non-white scholars and artists to be included on your syllabus, why is that? And discuss that with your class. Acknowledge the lack of representation and what needs to happen in your field to change that. Inclusive teaching requires intentional practice over time. You can't think about it once and then think you're done. Or, oh, I took this training and now I'm an equitable and inclusive teacher. It's a mindset that shapes your approach to course content and learning activities. Ideally, inclusive teaching stems from instructor awareness about the ways that bias and systemic inequities like racism, sexism, ageism affect student learning experiences. It's grounded in self-reflection about your own identities and your own biases, both explicit and implicit, and how they inform your thinking and decision-making and your responses to students. When we do this work on ourselves, it can have profound impact for our students. I mentioned breakout sessions. We'll be doing that towards the beginning of our in-person, such as it is, session. And we'll talk about how to introduce community agreements and how to deal with difficult situations and have difficult and uncomfortable conversations. Following the breakouts, we will share with you what we call a teaching handout. It includes scenarios that actually happened in the new school and what was problematic about the scenario and how it might have been handled differently. It also includes examples of community agreements and how you can use them. It also includes introductions to various types of pedagogy, because as I said, faculty in higher ed typically don't think about pedagogy. It also includes many additional resources. So we'll be going over things relatively quickly. My hope is that you will read the handout and be inspired to explore some of the additional resources that we're providing to you. There are 3 in particular that I want to call attention to right now. The first one is grandly called metacognition. It's really about thinking about oneself as a thinker and as a learner. And you can help your students develop this capacity by asking them to think about where were they sitting when they did a particular assignment? How were they feeling when they watched the video of a lecture? What was challenging for them in the reading and why might it have been challenging? What did they enjoy about a making demonstration video? What did they not understand and what did they not enjoy? These kinds of questions are particularly important in an online learning environment because we're all learning how to do this. They're learning how to be online learners. You're learning how to be online teachers. So really kind of being upfront about how you're thinking about how you're teaching, that transparency in teaching, and help them thinking about how they are as learners, what helps them learn, and what might be getting in the way of their learning. The second one is contemplative pedagogy. We're all stressed right now. Your students are stressed, you're freaking out, I'm freaking out. Anything we can do to help students modulate that stress and reduce anxiety is to the good. Encourage them to just take 1 minute and listen to the sounds in the room, or spend 5 minutes and closely examining an image or an object. Sitting for 2 minutes and breathing in and out. It helps. It helps you too. So please do that for yourself. We need to take care of ourselves in this moment. And the third one is learning taxonomies. Some faculty in higher education are familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. There are actually several. Most people are familiar with the cognitive domain because most faculty teaching in universities think of students' brains, think of students learning, think of students developing critical thinking skills and analytical skills. I like to introduce 2 other ones, the affective domain, partly as a way of reminding faculty that students are also their emotions. that learning is also about creating a value system. And especially in this moment, with our students going through so much, working from we don't necessarily know where, and we don't necessarily know what kinds of challenging circumstances, to remember to take care of themselves and to remember their emotional needs as well. And by the way, please do encourage, ask your students how you can help them learn given what they might be experiencing. And then the third one is the psychomotor. Those of you who teach making know what I'm talking about. It's dancing, it's playing the violin, it's skills in drawing and painting. And it's important to remember that we're brains in bodies. Get them up out of the chair. There are images of those domains in the teaching handout that you'll be receiving. There's a fourth one that is my favorite, called the Taxonomy for Significant Learning. And it imagines learning as an iterative process that begins with learning how to learn and thinking about ourselves as learners. It talks about caring. It talks about creating a value system. So please check that one out because that's my favorite. Two other points I want to make. One, please try to allow your students multiple ways of entering the material, like having a video, like having a graphical image, and like having text and maybe audio files. We all come at materials differently. I am a verbal person. The second point is what I have done in rethinking this little introduction. I've sacrificed so much content and it's really making me nervous, but I know that we're going to give you other ways of learning about the stuff that I would have been talking to you about. So be brave. You can do this. And I hope this little introduction to Teaching for Equity and Inclusion was helpful. I hope I will see you soon, and we wish you all the best for the coming semester.